Welcome to the lost world of New York's Gilded Age. For a brief moment in time, Fifth Avenue was lined with the most opulent private palaces ever built on American soil. Beneath the glass and steel of modern Manhattan lies a graveyard of marble and limestone. These are the stories of the masterpieces we built and the treasures we ruthlessly destroyed. Every great empire leaves a signature in stone. For the American industrial titans of the late 19th century, that signature was the Beaux-Arts mansion, a symbol of power, wealth, and ego. At the center of this architectural revolution was the Vanderbilt family. They didn't just build houses, they built monuments to their dynasty, intended to rival the royal palaces of Europe. The Triple Palace was a marvel of the age. Occupying an entire city block, it stood as a testament to the Vanderbilt fortune, housing 3 separate branches of the family. Inside these walls, no expense was spared. Marble was imported from Italy, wood from the Black Forest, and entire rooms were transported across the Atlantic to be reassembled in New York. Yet, as quickly as they rose, these limestone giants began to fall. The very city that gave birth to them eventually grew to consume them in a frenzy of development. Construction was an act of extreme craftsmanship. Every gargoyle, every corbel, and every ornate frieze was carved by hand by European immigrants who brought ancient skills to the New World. The social life within these mansions was a choreographed dance of exclusivity. Masquerade balls and 10-course dinners defined the elite, while the rest of the city watched from outside. Mrs. William Astor's house was the ultimate gatekeeper. To enter her ballroom was to be one of the 400, the only people who truly mattered in New York society. By the 1920s, the dream began to sour. The high cost of maintenance and a changing tax landscape made these massive private residences nearly impossible for families to keep. The library was the heart of the home for men like Carnegie and Morgan. It was a place where global deals were struck and the world's knowledge was gathered in leather. Alva Vanderbilt was a force of nature. She used architecture as a weapon, building the Petit Chateau to force her way into the inner circle of the city's social elite. The Marble Twins stood as a rare example of symmetry and grace. Their white facades shone in the sun, a brief moment of European elegance on a dusty American street. An invitation to a Vanderbilt ball was the most sought-after piece of paper in the country. It represented the peak of the Gilded Age, a time of absolute, unchecked luxury. But the 1930s brought the sound of the steam shovel. The era of the skyscraper had arrived, and the land beneath the mansions became more valuable than the buildings themselves. Today, we walk over the ghosts of these palaces. A modern office lobby now stands where a grand ballroom once hosted the leaders of the industrial world. It is haunting. Luxury was not just about gold, it was about space. To own a private garden in the heart of Manhattan was the ultimate statement of total and complete territorial dominance. The Frick collection is a rare survivor. Henry Clay Frick designed his home to eventually become a museum, ensuring its preservation in a city that usually destroys its own past. From the balconies of these mansions, the wealthy looked out over a changing world. They believed their influence was permanent, but the tides of history were already shifting against them. The demolition of the Clark Mansion was perhaps the greatest tragedy. A 121-room palace that took years to build was reduced to a pile of rubble in just weeks. If you look at an old map of Fifth Avenue, you see a lost city. It was a place of gardens and stone, before the vertical climb of the 20th century. Architects like Richard Morris Hunt were the superstars of the era. They traveled the world to study classical forms, bringing the beauty of the Renaissance to a young America. Every ceiling was a canvas, and every floor was a mosaic. The level of detail was staggering, meant to be appreciated over a lifetime, not just a passing glance. Winter on Fifth Avenue was a scene from a storybook. The warm glow from the palace windows against the white snow created a temporary paradise for the city's wealthy elite. Behind the marble walls sat the iron safes. They held the deeds to the railroads and steel mills that powered the nation, protected by the heavy stone of the mansion. The transition from the Gilded Age to the modern era was jarring. In just 20 years, the city's silhouette changed from low-rise stone to soaring towers of steel and glass. Tiffany glass provided the color for these gray stone homes. Sunlight through these windows turned a simple hallway into a corridor of light and beauty that was truly magical. The end of an era is often quiet. A single man walking away in the mist symbolizes the departure of the old guard, making room for the loud new world. The Metropolitan Museum survives as a reminder of what the Beaux-Arts style could achieve on a grand scale. It remains a beacon of the era's ambition and cultural pride. Caroline Astor ruled with an iron fist. Her parlor was the seat of power, where she decided who was in and who was out of New York's high society. Technology was beginning to change the way people lived. The first private elevators were mechanical marvels, allowing the wealthy to glide between floors with effortless and silent grace. The Schwab Mansion was a French chateau in the middle of Manhattan. It was so large that it seemed out of place, a final defiant roar of the Gilded Age era. A demolition permit was a death warrant for beauty. Once signed, the fate of a masterpiece was sealed, and the work of 1,000 craftsmen would soon be gone forever. The massive fireplaces were the focal points of the grand rooms. They were carved with symbols of power and history, burning wood to keep the massive stone halls warm. Before the skyscrapers, Manhattan felt like a European capital. The low-rise mansions allowed the sky to be visible, and the streets felt much wider and more open than today. The touch of luxury was everywhere. From silk-lined walls to polished marble, the tactile experience of a Gilded Age mansion was designed to stimulate and impress every single sense. When the Yerkes mansion was torn down, the world lost more than just a building. It lost a curated collection of art and history that could never be fully replaced. The Champagne Tower was a symbol of the excess that eventually led to the era's downfall. It was a time of more is more, until there was nothing left. The stonemasons who built these houses were true artists. They spent their lives carving details that few would ever see, working with a pride that is rare in modern construction. There was a dark side to the luxury. For every person living in a marble hall, dozens of servants lived in cramped, dark quarters, working around the clock to maintain. The reflection of the sun on the copper roofs of the mansions created a golden row. It was a sight that defined New York for a generation of wealthy travelers. The crash of 1929 was the final blow. The fortunes that built these houses vanished overnight, leaving the families with massive tax bills and no way to pay them. The Vanderbilt Great Hall was a space of pure intimidation. It was designed to make every visitor feel small, a physical manifestation of the family's immense and overwhelming power. The rise of the luxury apartment building changed everything. People realized they could have all the comfort of a mansion without the burden of maintaining a massive private estate. The destruction was often violent. Heavy machinery tore through delicate stone carvings, showing no respect for the artistry or the history that was being permanently wiped away from existence. The Frick Courtyard remains a place of peace. It is one of the few places where you can still feel the original atmosphere of a Gilded Age private home today. Andrew Carnegie was a man of contradictions. He built a massive mansion, but spent his later years giving his fortune away, believing that the man who dies rich dies disgraced. The door handles and fixtures were often custom-made. Even the smallest details were treated as works of art, shining brightly as symbols of the owner's attention to every detail. Modern New York is a city of movement. We rarely stop to think about what was here before, but the ghosts of the mansions are always there, just beneath the surface. A for sale sign on a mansion was a sign of the times. It meant the end of a family's reign and the beginning of the building's final sad chapter. The labor behind the luxury was immense. An army of servants was required to keep a single house running, a social structure that could not survive the 20th century's changes. A young socialite looking at the changing city represents the loss of a lifestyle. The world she was raised in was disappearing, replaced by something faster and less elegant. The demolition of the Petit Chateau was a wake-up call. People began to realize that if even a Vanderbilt home wasn't safe, then nothing in New York was permanent. Finding a piece of a mansion in a construction site is like finding a relic of a lost civilization. It is a reminder of how fragile our history really is. The Biltmore Estate shows us what might have been. Located in North Carolina, it survived because it had the space that New York City simply could no longer provide to anyone. The vintage car and the mansion represent the intersection of two eras. One was based on ancient stone traditions, and the other was based on modern, high-speed industrial machine power. The signing of $1 million check was a common occurrence for the titans of industry. Money was the fuel that built the mansions and the power that eventually destroyed them. An empty ballroom is a haunting sight. It is a place that was once full of music and light, now reduced to dust and shadows as it waits for the wrecking ball. John D. Rockefeller was the richest man in the world, yet his home was relatively modest. He preferred the power of his bank account to the showy display of architecture. The Astor 400 was a list that defined a generation. It was a social map of the city, where your address and your ancestors determined your entire place in the world. The shadow of a skyscraper over a mansion was a literal and figurative sign of things to come. The era of the individual was being replaced by the era of corporations. When a crystal glass shatters, it is a metaphor for the Gilded Age itself. It was beautiful, expensive, and fragile, and once it was broken, it could never be fixed. Music was a central part of mansion life. The massive pipe organs and private concert halls brought the world's greatest performers into the homes of the city's ultra-wealthy elite. Historians today are like detectives. They piece together the floor plans and the stories of these lost homes, trying to understand a world that was intentionally wiped away. The Villard Houses are a rare success story. They were preserved and integrated into a modern hotel, showing that it is possible to save history while still moving forward. Diamonds and pearls were the uniform of the Gilded Age. They were the portable wealth that could be carried even after the mansions were sold and the fortunes were lost. The Jay Gould Mansion was a dark, imposing place. Its demolition marked the end of one of the most controversial figures of the age, a man who built through ruthlessness. Imagine a digital recreation of 1900. You could walk for miles and see nothing but architectural masterpieces, a city that was built to last for centuries but didn't, a marble mantle and a ticking clock. Time was the one thing the Gilded Age titans couldn't buy, and it eventually ran out for them and their grand stone palaces. The first preservationists were often ignored. People in the 1920s were so excited about the future that they didn't realize they were throwing away their own cultural and architectural heritage. The butler was the silent witness. He saw the secrets and the scandals of the Gilded Age, maintaining a stoic face while the world around him slowly began to crumble. Cleaning a chandelier was a major operation. It required dozens of hours of labor, a reminder that every piece of luxury came with a high price in human effort and time. The Warburg Mansion is now a museum. Its survival is a testament to the fact that when a building finds a new purpose, it can live on for many generations. A forgotten toy in an abandoned nursery is a poignant image. It represents the children who grew up in these palaces, unaware that their world would soon be gone forever. The Great White Way brought light to the city, but it also brought a new kind of energy. The quiet elegance of the mansions couldn't compete with the neon future. The conservatory was a private jungle. It allowed the wealthy to enjoy nature year-round, a luxury that is still one of the most sought-after features in any New York home. Real estate developers were the new kings of the city. They saw the mansions not as art, but as obstacles to the profits that could be made from high-rise living. The stone lion still watches. Even as the building around it is torn down, the carving remains a symbol of the strength and the pride that originally built the house. The Fifth Avenue Parade was the ultimate social theater. It was a chance for everyone to see and be seen, with the grand mansions serving as the perfect opulent stage. The moment of destruction is always shocking. A wrecking ball can destroy in a second what took a master carver months to create, a loss that is truly permanent, a silver hairbrush on a vanity table. These small personal items are all that remain of the people who once lived in the marble halls of the Gilded Age. The Clark Mansion was so large that it was almost impossible to live in. Its destruction was a turning point, proving that scale alone could not save a building. We walk past these sites every day. Most New Yorkers have no idea that they are standing on the spot where a Vanderbilt or an Astor once lived their lives. An old map is a window into the past. It shows the city as a collection of dreams, many of which were realized in stone before being demolished for the future. The Morgan Library is a sanctuary. It is a place where the atmosphere of the Gilded Age is perfectly preserved, allowing us to step back in time for a moment. The wooden banister is smooth from the touch of many hands. It is a physical connection to the past, a piece of a house that was built with love. A bonfire of furniture is a tragic end. It represents the loss of the craftsmanship and the personal history that made these houses into homes for the wealthy families. The Payne Whitney house is a masterpiece of proportion. It shows that the Beaux-Arts style wasn't just about size, it was about the perfect balance of form and function. The architects of the Gilded Age were visionaries. They dreamed of a city that would rival Rome or Paris, and for a short time, they actually succeeded in building it. A historical landmark plaque is a victory. It means that a building has been recognized as part of our collective soul and will be protected for those who follow. The Court of the Statues was a place of classical beauty. It reflected the era's desire to connect with the great civilizations of the past through art and architecture. The shadow of the skyscraper is the final act. It marks the end of the sunlight for the small remaining houses, a visual metaphor for the triumph of the new. A garden fountain in the middle of a city is a miracle. It provides a sense of peace that is rare in the chaos of Manhattan, a gift from the past. The Grand Salon was a room for conversation and culture. It was designed to host the great minds and the great beauties of the age in a perfect setting. The family portrait is a moment frozen in time. They look so sure of themselves, so certain that their world would last forever, never suspecting the coming changes. The demolition worker represents the end of the line. He is the one who clears the way for the future, even if he doesn't fully understand what he is destroying. The 1940s skyline is the New York we know today. It is a city of heights and light, built on the foundations of the stone palaces that came before it. A single rose petal on a cracked floor is the final image of the Gilded Age. It is a beauty that is fading, a memory of a time of ultimate luxury. We end our journey at the Frick. It stands as a silent witness to a lost age, a reminder that history is always worth saving, even in a city.